Hello everyone! Greetings from Kharkov, Ukraine. My name is Svetlana Mucha and I'm the leading matchmaker and dating coach at Diolli.com. Today I have prepared for you a topic that is called why she has decided not to go out with you on a second date. Basically, why she has turned you down after the first date. Well, I think it is not very pleasant, neither for male clients nor for the ladies, when one of the parties doesn't want to go out on a second date, especially if the other party is interested. We all want to feel special, we all believe that we are unique and it is okay, we all want to be loved, and of course it is not a pleasant feeling to understand that there is a guy or a woman who thinks that you're not attractive enough or you are simply not enough, and it leaves a bad aftertaste. But when it comes to dating, it is impossible to get all the second dates. When it comes to dating, it is impossible that all people will be willing to date you. If you think so, you are lying to yourself. Of course, gentlemen who haven't been dating for a while, who just stick to online dating, they often forget what real dates are like. They often forget that if you will start going out, well, pretty much you will hear no as many times as you will hear yes. So basically, you went out with her on a first date, in your opinion everything went well, but then the lady tells us that she doesn't want to go out with you on a second date, or she simply tells it to you that she is not sure whether she would like to go out with you again. What has happened? The most common scenario, she simply didn't like your looks. First date is about looks. Really, you go out to understand if you feel physically attracted to the other party, if there is something that turns you off, if there is the sparkle, which is way overrated, I must add. So the first date is about the looks. Pretty much if she has seen your photos and she has agreed for the first date, probably you haven't reached her expectations. Are you sure your photos are recent? Of course, if you have hired a matchmaker, we take only recent photos. So sometimes gentlemen send us photos that were taken like 5 years ago or 2 years ago, and they claim that they haven't changed. Well, you have changed. So be very honest in your dating profiles. If you're doing online dating, don't use old photos, because pretty much you will get first dates but no second dates, because ladies will see that you differ from your profile photos. Also, very often it happens that the lady doesn't want to go out on a second date when a gentleman has chosen women that are way out of his league. You can tell me right now that a Canadian or an American who is an engineer, an IT programmer or a doctor is in different league, higher league than any Ukrainian woman. Well, if he's 45 and, for example, she is 32, and she is 13 or 15 years younger than he is, there is an age gap. And as a much younger lady, she can attract different type of men. Men her age, men who are like 5 years older than she is, 10 years older than she is, yes, and 15 years older than she is. Men who are 5 years younger than she is. And of course, it can happen that she is going out on a date with a guy who is older, like 15 years older, and she is turned off. I don't know why people have this stereotype that in Ukraine women love dating much older men. Yes, in Ukraine ladies like it when the gentleman is older, but the most favorite age gap that ladies actually choose is about 5 to 7 years. So if she is 30, she probably will be glad to go out with a guy who is 35 or 37 years old. If she is 40, 45 years old will be the age she will be aiming at. So sometimes when we suggest a lady who is, let's say, 30 years old to go out with a gentleman who is 45 years old, she agrees, because we describe how smart our client is, how well educated he is, how successful professionally he is, how well traveled, how kind, how easygoing, and how important his work is. So she thinks that, okay, I will go out with him. But after the date, she gives us the feedback that, you know what, 15 years is way too much. Like the whole date, I was thinking not about how smart or well-educated he is, but how old he is. He reminds me of my aunt's husband. So he was like this funny uncle to me. I was not attracted. Or for example, a gentleman wants to date someone who is taller, so we suggest a lady to be more open-minded about height, that height is not important. She goes out on a date and later she tells us that, you know what, Svetlana, I think you were wrong. I don't want to date someone shorter because the whole date I felt uncomfortable and I was not paying attention on his jokes because I was thinking about his height. And I was thinking that if I will stand, I will be like towering over him and it is not sexy. So I definitely won't date someone who is shorter than me again. Well, it can happen. Also, what else can happen? First date, for example, the lady was not that attracted to the photos of the gentleman, but still she has decided to agree with us that looks is not a main thing and she has to be more open-minded, and our client is really smart, really well-educated, he is hardworking and he wants to have a family just like her. And for example, this exact male client, he claims that he has high standards, so he aims only on very, very hot girls. And when we try to reason him that looks is not the main thing, he declines all brunettes, he declines all women who don't have model looks, and he's telling us that he wants to date only girls with model type of looks. So basically he tries to date women that are way more attractive than he is. And even if you look at his photo and the photo of the girls he has chosen, you will see that they are way more attractive, they are in other league. And of course it can happen that such a beautiful girl, she will go out with him on a date and she won't find him attractive. Or she will find him boring, because you know what? Pretty girls, they get lots of male attention. When she's walking down the street, in her office, online. So pretty girls, they know that they are pretty. So pretty much, if after the first date you're not getting the second date, chances are strong that she simply didn't like your looks. Also, what could have happened? You are just a boring date? It also can happen. She went out on a date with you and she had to do all the talking, she had to ask all the questions, and pretty much you sat there thinking that you should be the one entertained and she should be the one entertaining you, and not all women like that. You probably have heard this saying that women love with their ears, well, gentlemen love with their eyes. I would say that ladies like both with their eyes and ears. They also want to be physically attracted to a gentleman, but at the same time they want to be entertained with jokes, stories, compliments. We can set a client on a date with a lady who is way out of his league, if we are speaking about looks, and on his own he will never ever get a date with a lady like that, because it will take lots of our Cupid magic to encourage her to give him a try, but we can't guarantee that she will choose him back after the date. And of course, we try to explain it to clients that looks is important, but it shouldn't be the base of your strategy. You can't date just a pretty picture. Beauty consists of so many layers. We seldom have this problem with guys who have been married or who actively date, because they kind of know their value on dating sites. They know what type of women approach them, which age groups, or for example offline, which type of women approach them, which type of women find them attractive, and also they know what real people look like. Gentlemen who haven't been dating actively at all, or for example for a while, because he was dating back in college and now in his early 30s he returns to the dating market, so in his mind he has to date Candice Svenful, but in reality such girls will never ever pay attention on him. Beauty is an asset and women know it. This asset is not very lasting, and if she has the looks but doesn't have the personality, doesn't have the female wisdom, well, it is not very smart to choose such a girl. So why she doesn't want to have a second date with you? As a matchmaker, I can always get a feedback from the lady, and of course we get this very common excuse that I didn't feel a sparkle. Sometimes when we understand that there is actually sense to encourage a lady to give it a try and to go out on a second date, we do it with the help of two psychologists and a matchmaker. We encourage her to give it a try. We tell that the gentleman was stressed and she was stressed, and second dates are usually so much better. And usually on a second date, people relax and they have much more fun. So we encourage both our male clients and female clients to go out on second dates. But sometimes we understand that there is no sense at all, because she's honestly said that 15 years is a big age gap for me. I went out, I gave it a try, and he feels old. We're not sure whether with another guy who is like 15 years older, she would feel differently. We don't know that. But when the introduction is with an age gap and the lady is 15, 16 years younger, there is always a risk that she won't shoot the gentleman back because of the age difference. It can happen with the age gap of 10 years as well. That's also quite a big age gap. It is risky, and we always tell our clients that there is a strong chance that some of the ladies after the dates with you will tell that they are not open to continue this communication because of the age gap. You have to be ready for this because it is risky. But we will do multiple introductions, and we will hope that you will manage to win one of the ladies over. We will do our best to help you with all the tips and advice, but of course it will be up to you to implement all these tips and advice or not to implement them. Sometimes it is a combination of factors. The lady thinks that she can do better. A gentleman, in her opinion, is an average Joe regarding his looks, so she is not smitten how handsome he is, and he is not cracking jokes, making her laugh, and she feels bored. And she often tells that, well, he must be a good guy, but usually I date more attractive men, or usually I date men with a better, stronger personality, so I'm just not attracted, I'm not into him. Sometimes, unfortunately, after the first date, a lady understands that international dating is not for her, because she can't understand his jokes, because it is hard for her to understand his English, especially if, for example, he is talking with a strong Welsh accent, or, for example, with a strong French accent, or just American English. She thought that she would feel okay, but during this date she understands how different the culture is. It is hard to predict it before the date. Probably if she has met another American and he has another sense of humor, she would react in a different way. But sometimes it's just not meant to be. This is why we do multiple introductions. This is why we can't just introduce a gentleman to one lady and hope that they will end up getting married. It is very unpredictable, it is very risky, because a lot depends on a gentleman and a lady. And sometimes a lady just overreacts. I remember the situation when there was a first date and a gentleman, he owns a branch of schools, and the lady, she's a university professor, and they have started talking about educational systems, and they ended up having a fight. Because, in the opinion of the lady, Soviet educational system was the strongest. After the date, we have asked the lady, why on earth have you decided to discuss educational systems, politics? And she said that, I don't know, I have overreacted. He was even more handsome than his photos, and I really liked him, and I have started talking. I was not thinking. Sometimes people get stressed and they overreact. It can happen. And usually if the person has talked too much and a person understands that he or she was talking nonsense, they feel ashamed and they don't want to go on a second date because they feel bad. Oh, I was speaking about that, or I have asked him about this, so I really don't feel like going out with this person again. We are all human beings, and we can be quite reasonable in our professional life with our friends and family, but when it comes to dating, when it comes to flirt, when it comes to romance, we can get carried away. She doesn't want a second date with you. If you have hired a matchmaker will pretty much help you understand what has happened. Probably you have to be more active during the date, ask more questions, or you have to slow down and listen more, because you are the one monopolizing the whole conversation. You were talking all the time, and the lady felt like asking a question, but you didn't give her an opportunity to do it. Maybe you were too pushy, maybe you have critiqued Ukraine too much, or Ukrainian men. Unfortunately, it happens too. Sometimes she simply didn't like the looks of the gentleman, especially if the lady is way more attractive than the gentleman is, and she is way younger. Well, I can't make my client taller younger, slimmer, or bigger, more muscular. I can't do that. I can't persuade a lady to date someone she doesn't find attractive enough, unfortunately. When a lady says no to a date with our client, a second date or a third date, I feel as upset as my client feels. But I can't magically make her feel differently. I can't make her change her mind even if I wish I could. The trick is not to concentrate on the one lady who is not interested for whatever reason, but to concentrate on ladies who show interest. Because usually when we do 4 or 5 dates, let's say 3 ladies feel interested and they want to go out with a gentleman again. One lady is not sure and one lady says no. She is not interested for whatever reason. But out of a sudden, a gentleman thinks that she is the one, usually because she was the youngest or she was most attractive by his standards. And you know what? Beauty is truly in the eye of a beholder. For one man, this lady will be truly like the most attractive thing he has ever seen. For another guy, she will be just plain. If the lady has said no to the second date with you, of course, it is smart to understand her reasons. If it has something to do with your dating strategy, to adjust it and to act differently on your different dates, to learn from this experience and to move on. There is no sense to think about what if and why. Well, it can happen that some women won't like you back. It's just your bruised ego. It doesn't mean that she is the one and you have to win her over or you have to cancel all the rest of the dates, because if one girl doesn't want to go out with you again, then you will punish all the rest of women. You will punish just yourself. Positive attitude is important. It is important to keep in mind that some people will like you, other people will think that you are not for them. I wish you only smart, successful dates with the right ladies. Svetlana Mukha, especially for Diolli.com, with love.